my Ahsoka review of somebody who is using this to sell me on what I should watch of Star Wars, right? So, okay, so I've never seen, and now this is going to tell me, because I loved the original trilogy, right? The original trilogy was the good Star Wars. The prequels were not good, and the sequels did not make the prequels better. Let's be clear on that. Who are you? Why are you here?
I'm Rob off camera.
So he's going to do the commercial for the new thing when that comes up. Look out for that. He's sorry for clearing his throat again on the microphone. And I am recording. I said I'm going to record this real quick. So, what better way to sell somebody who has not yet seen the Clone Wars, or, and I'm told they're supposed to be so good, right? I'm told that the Clone Wars and Rebels are supposed to be amazing, and that I can't critique a character if I don't know what those are. But so I don't know why. I don't know why I would want to watch cartoon versions of cat ladies in space drinking coffee, the cartoons. Is this what Clone Wars and Rebels are? Because that's all Ahsoka is. They're just standing around, carrying around, drinking coffee in space. I am Mecca. Please subscribe to this channel, or else. Where's my thing?
The following video is brought to you through the generous support of viewers like you. If you like this content, then please consider subscribing, liking, and sharing this video. And for those who are in the position to donate, this channel thanks you. And so does this orange cat.
Star Wars is not mainstream anymore. Star Wars is not for people who want to use their Disney Plus subscription to check out some new characters and possibly go back and watch the Clone Wars and the Rebels things, because clearly if this is a prime example of why I would want to watch Rebels or Clone Wars as somebody over 45 to 55 in that sweet spot, in that sweet spot of people who grew up with the original trilogy, right? The ones who wanted to see Luke and Leia and Han Solo on screen together, and liked Yoda and the droids, and liked Star Wars. When it was 3 good movies, and when the prequels were bad, we said they were bad. And we didn't change our minds and say that the sequel trilogy made the prequels better. No. The prequels were better than the sequels, in my opinion, but I don't think they made them any better than they were. They were always about as bad as they were, in my opinion. You had, your moments here and there and whatever, but argue how right or wrong I am in the comments. This does not give me any reason to go in and watch Ahsoka or her backstory any more than what we're seeing, because this is just one of the most uninteresting, unimportant, side fetch questy repeats so far. So far, we've repeated the map thing from every other thing that we've seen ever, where they have to go on a quest fetch thing to solve a puzzle to find maps. They drank coffee in space for about an hour. They asked to see somebody's manager. They drank more coffee. A girl got stabbed through the chest and lived with a lightsaber, so that was no big deal. So death doesn't matter. There's no consequences. They tease somebody from a book that most of us haven't read and have no idea who's coming, and they spend as long of a time as possible to get there. So I don't think that this experience, two and a half episodes in to Ahsoka, makes me want to go in and watch the stuff that may have come out in cartoon format when we were over 35 years old. At the time it came out, as grown adult original trilogy Star Wars fans. And this is where Star Wars, I think, really needs to wake up and open their eyes, like she is right there, that this is a terrible mistake, catering to these very much hardcore, most opinionated of the fans, because you've got the people like the Filonis and all of the people in the Lucasfilm story groups on their little burners accounts arguing with the most toxic of people. The toxicity from the studios begats the toxicity of the media, begats the toxicity of the audience, and it feeds into each other. It's an ever-ending cycle, right? It is. And once it becomes all this people getting thrown the money at the rumors and the gossip and how to save it and how to fix it, and that's what really ruins it for me, because I just want to sit here and talk about the ridiculousness of the thing that I'm watching. And we're evolving quicker than we can as a species quicker than the studios can adjust and produce this thing. Because, yeah, sure, it made sense in 2018 to bring in an Ahsoka series. Back then, now here we are, 2023, it no longer makes sense to have an Ahsoka series. Especially if you're just going to give us the same fetch questy missions, the same boring storylines, the same as long as it possibly takes to get to the point A to B to C. We've spent 5 minutes of this training this girl as an overcompensation, the Sabine girl, who doesn't even have... She can't even use the Force, so we're training a Jedi who can't even use the Force. They're trying to overcorrect with the fact that Rey was labeled this Mary Sue. Mary Ray Palpatine was labeled a Mary Sue. Because she was. She just automatically knew how to do everything. So now they're overcorrecting by making this girl fail at everything and need coffee afterwards. Because that's really all they can show. Because they can't just say, and then they sat around texting each other at the dinner table. They can't do that. This is Star Wars for this most specific of Star Wars fans. These Funko buying girl, that sort of... Now that's all that's really left. This is like your toys got left behind because you grew up and grew out of them and hadn't played with them for a lot of years, and this is now your little sisters are coming along and they're breaking them and they're cosplaying as your thing, but they're all doing it wrong because they don't know what the crap they're doing because they're not Star Wars fans. They just are like, oh, this is a cool thing, and then they start flailing around with your swords and your lightsabers and your blasters and whatever they're doing, and they come in and they break all your stuff, right? And you forgot how much you miss it. Because you want it back because it's been gone for way too long and you want it back because you missed that nice little happy spot and the happiness that it brought you, right? And some things you can get back. Music, you can always get back. That always is going to bring you to that little happy spot, right? Unless it's a sad song that broke your heart or a sad song about someone's heart who's broken. Or, whatever. But then again, time heals all and then you can kind of come back around and be like, that's so pretty. So... Isn't it? And that's such a nice little memory back then. So that's what we're really all about and trying to say. Snap, snap, click, click, follow the signs and portents. And here we go. Can I be any more clear? That's where the fun is. Not in this bad, stupid pop culture that we outgrew. Because the movies are the thing that we have the attachment to, right? Those movies, not this new. I mean, the new stuff. You're gonna have your attachment to the book if you read the book. You're gonna have the attachment to Clone Wars and Rebels. This is an entirely new thing. 15 years after the fact, people. They're sitting around drinking coffee, complaining. Oh God, she's drinking coffee. The Force resides within all living things, even you. Nope.
If that's true, then why doesn't everyone use it? Talent is a factor.
Talent is an asset. No, it's an asset, not a factor. Talent. So, they're forgetting the midichlorians again now.
They probably retconned that.
Did they retcon the midichlorians again?
Yeah, I mean...
Well, Sabine existed before Rey, but I'm talking about this incarnation of it. This show directly is we need to make her train harder because. And my critique at this, right? Oh yes, and I'm still recording. My biggest critique in this, right, is that we saw in the Rey stuff how everybody complains she was a Mary Sue. And this seems like studio notes saying, make sure she fails and is so miserable, Sabine, make sure that she is such a failure that you cannot say by any stretch of the means she's a Mary Sue. That's what that feels like to me, regardless of when the character was originally originated. I'm talking about this incarnation in this time of this character that we're seeing on screen, this live action version. Because you can't know the history of it, right? You can't go in unless you are one of these uber Star Wars nerds. And that is not who Lucasfilm, I think, needs to be really, really focusing on. And if they're only focusing on these tiny little demographic of Star Wars fans, then I think they need to cheapen up their expenses, stop wasting so much money into producing all these new programs and movies and on all this new stuff, and just print a bunch of t-shirts and re-release the old films every once in a while. Stop making the new stuff. I don't think this is going to make them any money or make them any more money to print the old, because this is just lessening the brand. It's like more saturation. This is what happened with Baby Yoda too, is that people are like, oh, this is pretty good, and they made so much of it that we're seeing it at Goodwill just 3 years later, 4 years later. So, and we've been seeing it for 2 years now. Like, the brand went from, oh, this is the new cool thing that everybody wants, to no more in 2 years. So that is kind of the problem, is that they're doing this oversaturation of the mediocre, the stuff that doesn't hit, the stuff that just isn't good enough, right? None of these characters are going to be Baby Yoda characters. There's not going to be one single breakout character, because if there were, we would have heard about it by now already as the mainstream. You would see it on a Funko all over the place like Baby Yoda. And I don't think there's any sort of character like this. What do you think? Anyway, I'm going back to my live chat. So far, this gives me zero reason to watch Clone Wars or Rebels. And I don't like these characters. So, don't you go anywhere.